Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Speedy, head coach of the UNB women's basketball program, and I would like to welcome you to the 15th annual UNB Women's Basketball Breakfast for Success. Usually I get to deliver that line into a microphone at the Fredericton Inn, but unfortunately, due to the global pandemic, we had to cancel our event last year, and this year we had to do something a little different. We were determined to have a breakfast this year and do something. Well, that something is this video. The breakfast is traditionally about three things: celebrating girls basketball in our community, meeting this year's UNB women's basketball team and celebrating their season, and supporting the UNB women's basketball program. Obviously, this year's event will be a little bit different. You'll hear from some key members of the Reds family, from one of our alumni, and from a junior Red. You will also meet all of the student athletes from this year's UNB women's basketball team. The highlight of the video, however, will be our annual senior speech, a speech given each year by one of our graduating student athletes. We really miss seeing our fans, all of the minor basketball players, and our alumni who usually attend the breakfast every year. We wish we could be hanging out with you in person at the Fredericton Inn, but this year has all been about a new normal, and our new normal for the 2021 Breakfast for Success is this video. While we didn't have any accomplishments on the court to celebrate this year, we can celebrate the fact that we had 8 academic All-Canadians from the 2019-2020 season, and our student athletes continue to give back to our community the way that they always do. We participated in Operation Christmas Child. We adopted a family for Christmas through the Salvation Army Adopt a Family program, and our students athletes were front and center in our annual Shoot for the Cure Think Pink event, in which we raised over $16,000. The student athletes in our program have had so much taken away from them this year, but you would never know it. I am so proud of how hard they have worked and how committed they have been all season long. They are a great group of young women who have an unbelievably bright future, both on and off the court. Thank you very much for taking the time to help us celebrate our season by attending, watching our 2021 UNB Women's Basketball Breakfast for Success. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Wayne Albert, the Dean of Kinesiology. Dean Albert is a huge supporter of the Reds, and we really miss seeing him in the stands this year.
On behalf of the Faculty of Kinesiology, I wish to welcome you to the annual Breakfast for Success, albeit the breakfast is in a virtual delivery this year. The Breakfast for Success typically marks the end of the competitive season, as it follows on the heels of our AUS and U Sport Championships. Of course, this was an unprecedented year in the world, as it was in the world of competitive sport. I give full credit to the coaching staff and the athletes for their continued positivity, resilience, and dedication to training in hopes of some competitive play this year. For me personally, the Breakfast for Success is a real highlight of the academic year. Not only because it is an opportunity to reflect on the Reds women's basketball season and to celebrate the graduating students before the end of the term, but because we are together as a basketball community celebrating the success of the girls and young women representing their schools and their regions. For me, it's wonderful to see so many girls' teams attend our Reds games and to see the connection our team has with that community. The Breakfast for Success is truly a celebration of all the girls and young women playing in basketball in our community. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and I wish you every success in the remainder of your school year.
Hi, I'm John Richard, the Director of Athletics here at the University of Brunswick. I'm very happy to have been asked to participate in this year's Breakfast for Success. And while I wish we could all be together, let's make the most of this virtual celebration of our UNB Women's Reds basketball program. I want to recognize Coach Jeff Speedy, his team staff, his assistants, and most importantly, his student athletes. The 2020-21 season has been one we'll remember for a long time. This season, our group dedicated countless hours of practice, training, and scrimmaging. We'll remember this season for the closeness it brought to the teams, most of whom will tell you they've spent way too much time together. In these most extraordinary of times, we've still been able to see this group of young women come together, improve their skills, strengthen their bonds, and become a better team. On top of all their forward motion on the court, they've continued to show their unwavering dedication to our community. Despite the huge challenge posed by the pandemic, Coach Speedy and his group led a Shoot for the Cure effort that raised more money for cancer research than we've ever seen before. This virtual Breakfast for Success is yet another example of their commitment to our community. Congratulations to the student athletes and to Coach Speedy and his staff. And thank you for the steadfast dedication during these different and difficult days. I hope everyone enjoys this year's virtual Breakfast for Success, and we look forward to seeing everyone at next year's breakfast in person. Be safe and take care.
Thanks very much, John, for the kind words and the unwavering support. It is now my pleasure to kick off the introductions of the 2021 UNB women's basketball student athletes. Before I do, there's a few people I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank my amazing coaching staff, Rick Cotter, Chelsea Collette, and Peter Kelly. They are three amazing assistant coaches, but even better people. I would also like to thank our extended staff, Ken Morrison, Jeff Mabey, Brittany Perot, and Jocelyn Jelly. The four of them give an unbelievable amount of time to our program and are a huge part of our success. And last but not least, I'd really like to thank everyone else in the UNB athletic department. There are too many of you to name, but please understand we appreciate you and everything you do for us. The first Red I'd like you to meet is Alexandre Leroux from Mont-Laurier, Quebec. Alexandre has joined us after transferring from a year at Ontario Tech, and she's studying chemistry with the hopes of going back home to be a chemistry teacher in the CEGEP system.
This is number 4, Callie Speedy. She's from Fredericton. She's studying in the science program with a major in psychology.
This is number 5, Marley Kerwin. She's from Halifax, Nova Scotia, in her 3rd year, and she's taking kinesiology.
This is number 6, Madeline Orlando. She's from Woodstock, New Brunswick, finishing up her 3rd year in kinesiology, and she's my roommate.
This is number 7, Bailey Black. She's from Miramichi, New Brunswick, and she's graduating this year after 4 years and is applying to both physiotherapy and education.
This is number 8, Jaden Penny from Fredericton, New Brunswick. She's in her 2nd year of biology, and she wants to be a psychologist.
This is number 9, Alex Mann. She's from Saskatchewan, and she's in her 1st year of kinesiology.
Next up is number 11, Erin Engel. She's in her 1st year of kinesiology and is from St. George, New Brunswick.
This is number 12, McKinley Bezanson. She's a 1st-year science student from Hansport, Nova Scotia.
This is number 13, Crystal Osborne, our only 5th-year player this year. She's a kinesiology student from Ottawa, Ontario.
This is number 14, Katie McAfee. She's from Centerville, New Brunswick. She's a 3rd-year business student, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her play in a real game.
This is number 15, Sarah Fudge from St. George, New Brunswick. She's a 2nd-year student taking a Bachelor of Science in Biophysics.
This is number 22, Jenny Naqua. She's in her 1st year of forestry, and she is from Brampton, Ontario.
This is number 33, Jolianne Gay. She is from Préville, Quebec, in her 2nd year in a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. I'm excited to play with her.
This is Chelsea, our assistant coach. She's a UNB former basketball athlete, so she knows what we're going through and we can always rely on her, so that's nice, and she's an amazing teacher.
Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Collette and I'm currently part of the staff for the UNB women's basketball program. It's surprising to say that I've been involved in the program for the past 9 years, and it honestly freaks me out thinking about how fast these past 9 years have gone. In 2012, I arrived on the UNB campus afraid of all the big changes that were about to occur in my life. But though I had an idea of what to expect, I assumed, I'd make a few friends, play some basketball, learn some new things academically. But what I really didn't realize was that life would throw a few or more than a few curveballs my way. And though it was tough, I always had one constant, and that was my support system. And yeah, I mean my family who currently lives in Rossay, but I also mean the family that I happened to waltz into that first week in September 2012. And everyone that goes through our program becomes family for life, but I really wanted to stay part of that current family. I wanted to stay part of the current action. I wanted to be part in the continued positive dynamic that I'd come to know and love. Though there's adversity of some kind for all individuals and teams during every season. I would say that this group has had their fair share, and I definitely don't envy what they are going through. And because of this, you may not even recognize a large portion of this year's group. So I would like to tell you what I know. This group has potential. Every player on this team showed up in September from places all over Canada. Many of them had to self-isolate not once, but twice, some of whom who had never even been to Fredericton. And since most of their courses are online, they could have stayed at home, been with their families, and completed a year of school. But instead, they all made the difficult decision to move to Fredericton, get better at basketball, and be part of the UNB family. Watching them go through adversity this year has been nothing short of impressive. I watched in awe of how maturely they handled their individual successes and setbacks. And I personally cannot imagine a season without competition or even defense for months at a time in practice. I also can't imagine having to go through this in my final year as a Red. And Crystal and Bailey, I just want to give you a little shout out here to say how strong of leadership you've shown when the team needed you the most, knowing you may never have a chance to lace up for a last game with the Reds. Needless to say, as an alumni and as a member of the coaching staff, I think these girls show a lot of potential for where our program can go in the near future.
Thanks very much, Chelsea. If anybody knows what it means to be part of the Reds women's basketball family, it would be you. You are a very important part of our program and have a positive impact on a daily basis. One of the very special aspects of the Breakfast for Success is that we get to invite and celebrate the many girls basketball players and teams within our community. At our last breakfast in 2019, we were fortunate to have 13 girls basketball teams from the community join us and allow us to celebrate their amazing season with them. I always love looking around the room, trying to figure out which of these young ladies will wear the red and black and play for the Reds one day. It is my pleasure to introduce you to one of these young ladies right now. Hannah Howland has been part of our Junior Reds program since she was 10 years old. Hannah is a grade 8 student at Nassus Middle School. She is a very focused and driven basketball player with a ton of potential and a very bright future. And I must say, Hannah, rocking that retro Junior Varsity Reds long sleeve hoodie t-shirt, fantastic.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Howland. It is an honor to have the opportunity to say a few words for the annual Breakfast for Success. I attended this event for a few years before COVID, and it was amazing to see so many people supporting and representing women's and girls basketball in Fredericton. Some of my best basketball memories so far are from playing and practicing in the Curry Center and the Junior Reds program. When I was 10 years old, my dad encouraged me to try out for a spot in this program. I was very fortunate to be selected for the U11 team. Since that first season, this program has become a highlight for me each spring. It was always a different experience from club ball and a chance to reunite with these girls. Because of this program, I developed a sisterhood with my teammates all over the city. Junior Reds has shown me that there are more possibilities beyond the regular season for those who are dedicated and who are willing to work hard. Playing in that building and being around the Women's Reds team has inspired me to be the best version of myself. I'm confident that I can speak on behalf of many who have participated in this program by saying we are hopeful that we too will someday play at the university level. I want to thank Coach Jeff Sweetie for his commitment to providing this opportunity each year for us, and a special thank you to Coach Chelsea Collette for guiding, supporting, and shaping me into the player I am today. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the presenter of this year's senior speech. She loves her dog Tucker, plans to become a physiotherapist after graduating. She loves being a post player, has become a real leader on the court, and has worn the number 13 for her 5 seasons playing for the Reds. From Collingwood, Ontario, Crystal Osborne.
This year has looked a lot different for everyone. Most people work from home, students have online classes, and masks are worn everywhere. So with everything else going on in our lives, welcome to our first ever virtual Breakfast for Success. Normally, we'd all be sitting in the Fredericton Inn, talking to each other with our sleepy voices, having a great breakfast, and creating more memories. Obviously, this year isn't that. I'm not recording this at 6 in the morning and there aren't many people watching this live, but honestly, that's okay. It's probably better that way. This breakfast is a huge tradition in our women's basketball program, and I'm proud to be speaking to you today. So when Speedy asked me to do this speech, I automatically said yes. Over the past 5 years, I've seen the women I look up to, admire, and respect give wonderful speeches about their time and experiences at UNB. So big shoes to fill following them. And when I started thinking of what to talk about today, I started a sticky note on my computer and where I would put down ideas. Some of them would be about my experience over the past 5 years, about COVID, some of them would be family, and then one idea was going to be about roasting Speedy. I figured that last point would be a good way to get payback for all the jokes he's made at my expense. Now I know that making fun of Speedy would be hilarious, but truthfully, I wouldn't trade those jokes for anything. As much as those jokes weren't funny, and sometimes they annoyed me, it's one of the things I'll miss most. Picking just one thing to talk about today was very difficult, so instead I'd like to share a bit about everything. I've thought about these past 5 years as chapters in a book of my life that have helped shape and mold me into the person who stands before you today. Some aspects of these chapters are sad and dark, but at the same time being happy with lessons I've learned along the way. So let's get started with this crazy book that has been the past 5 years of my life. Chapter 1. This little chapter is a bit of a backstory. As a young girl, it was never my dream to play basketball. I grew up in a hockey family. My dad, uncles, and brothers all played, and I wanted to be just like them. I never thought that I could or ever would play basketball at an elite level. I didn't start playing until I was in grade 7, and even then, I made my first team because of how freakishly tall I was. I was not good. I couldn't shoot, dribble, or even make a right-handed layup. And some of you may still think that to this day. I had a lot of work to do. It was my coach that took a chance on me and helped make me into the player I am today. He was with me from that very first team to the last year of high school. He saw me grow as a person and taught me a lot about the sport of basketball. And although my initial path wasn't supposed to be about this sport, I quickly learned that what you think your path may be is not what you think your path may be is not what the path you're meant to take. And that life is full of chances. Some you take for yourself and some others take for you. That coach that took a chance on me in grade 7 saw something that no one else did. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be speaking to you right now. I will always be thankful and grateful for meeting him and having him help me figure out a new path that I didn't even know was possible. Chapter 2. Fast forward a couple years. Grade 12. The year that I thought was the biggest year of my life. It was graduation year, prom year, and decision year. Talk about stressful. The decision to play at university, the decision of picking a school that I would call home for the next 5 years. Picking between moving far away from my family and friends or moving a few hours away. Speedy's probably rolling his eyes now looking back at how long it took me to make that decision, and he still brings it up to this day. Now let me explain. I told him and everyone else I'd decide by Christmas of that year. Then I said by my birthday, then I said by March 1st, finally saying yes to Speedy on March break or somewhere around there. Every time he'd call, ask me if I'd made my mind yet, I'd have to say no and push the decision further back. It took me a while. I didn't want to make the wrong decision. I didn't want to disappoint anyone or ultimately have people question why I made the choice that I did. It was hard to think of leaving my family and having no one in a new province and a new city. But what I didn't know then was that I would have a new family. Not one to replace my old one back home, but a second one. And people always say you only get one family, but I've been fortunate enough to have two. This family, the Reds family, is one unlike any other. They've taught me so much in the past 5 years of my life. They have taught me how to give back to the community that supports and surrounds you, and they have shown me how to lead and be an effective leader. They have also taught me a lot about myself. They have supported me and encouraged me even when I was so checked out and even when I didn't believe in myself at all. Looking back, I wish I had known then what I do now, but I guess that's the point of growing up, right? Speedy actually helped me realize this. It doesn't matter what people think of your decision. You could have the best job in the world and decide to leave, but if leaving will make you truly happy, that's all that matters. No one else's opinions matter. I'm speaking to the women and young women watching this, about to make some really big life decisions. And I want you to know that it's okay to do what you want to do. Some people may call you nuts, but if it's going to make you truly happy, then that's all that matters. Chapter 3, first and second year. Man, those 2 years were probably the hardest 2 years of my life. First year, 16 hours away from home for the first time. I was extremely homesick. I miss my family, my friends, and my old teammates. School was not going the way that I wanted it to. I wasn't getting the grades, and I didn't understand a lot of the material we were learning. And I just kind of kept spiraling out of control. Basketball was equally as tough. I was a first-year post, trying to play behind 6 older, more experienced players, and I didn't play much. I got demolished at practice every day and was terrified of these older players. That year was definitely a learning year. However, I learned to ask for help with school. It wasn't easy, but I took a huge step in admitting that I didn't know everything, and that was okay. I definitely learned a lot that year about basketball, how this team operates, how to be a good leader, and how to hold my own against women that are 4 years older than me. A lot of who I am now is from watching these older players play and from playing against them every day in practice. Second year. It's no secret that that year sucked. I had a major injury that set me back a lot. I was told that rest was the only way to control my Achilles tendonitis, and I was also told that if things kept going the way that they were going, that maybe a different sport might be a better option for me. I was very upset about that, and my teammates knew it. I was checked out, I didn't care anymore, and I didn't pay attention, and most of the time I'd sit at the score table and be sad. I just wanted to be healthy and play with my teammates. I definitely had a huge pity party for myself during that time. I think it was when my parents got sick that I really pulled myself up by the boots and kicked myself for feeling sorry for myself. There were so many other things going on that I didn't have time to feel bad about myself. My dad had a major surgery, and my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. 2 things that were far more serious than a silly injury. I've shifted my focus from my injury to them. Being away from them while they were struggling was very hard. When I found out, I felt like my biggest fears were becoming reality. I felt so helpless. I really considered leaving school and going home to be with everyone during that difficult time. But I knew that's not what my mom would have wanted. I knew that she wanted to see me excel and keep doing great things here at UNB. My mental health in that second year was plummeting, and fast. I tried everything and anything to shift my focus. I tried so hard to focus on basketball and school, and sometimes those things would distract me, and other times I'd be checked out again. It wasn't until Shoot for the Cure that year, when I saw my mom for the first time since finding out, was when I started to feel kind of okay. Granted, she's a strong woman and puts on a brave face for me, but I realized in that weekend that she was okay. She had my dad and my siblings and everyone back home, and she didn't need the added stress of me leaving school just for her. I relied a lot on my teammates, friends, and family during that time. They were my support system. Even if they didn't know it, they were. Going to practice and seeing everyone laugh during warm-up and having fun in live drills really helped me take my mind off things. Even though that second year was the worst year ever, I am so much stronger because of it. My family is so much stronger, and my mom is so much stronger after going through all of that. I realized during those first 2 years that it's okay to not be okay. Not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, especially being a varsity athlete. There will be days that you will miss home and can't bear to go to practice, but you go and play the sport you love. Even on those bad days, your teammates are so supportive because we all know what it's like to have a rough couple of days, or in my case, a couple of years. Those 2 years taught me that it's okay to ask for help, whether it's asking your family or friends or seeking out help from the many resources that UNB has to offer. If you take those steps to get help, you will always find it, especially here. I found that even though I wasn't ready to talk about a lot of things that were happening, people were still supporting me through actions, and I've kind of adopted that into my everyday life. You never know what someone's life is like or what they're going through, and to just be kind and supportive of your friends and family and even strangers. No matter how strong I have become because of those 2 years, I still have bad days, and that's okay. I've just learned to find a new outlet and find ways to cope and make those bad days a little less negative. Chapter 4. You know that point in your life where everything's finally going just right, you've made it past some really tough things, and you're doing great in all parts of your life? That was my 3rd and 4th year. School had finally got better. I was getting good grades. I'd become closer to all my friends, and basketball was finally going my way. I was playing more, stepping into a bigger role, and finally becoming one of the leaders on the team. Looking back, those 2 years were honestly my year, this 4th year especially. I started a lot of the games, and I was thriving. The bonds I made with my teammates those 2 years are ones that I cherish to this day. Granted, every friendship I've made over the past 5 years I cherish, but 3rd and 4th year, some of my best friends were graduating those years, especially last year's seniors. I miss them, but they've all had a huge impact on my life and on this team's culture, and they should be very proud. I think fourth year was such a great year because we had a lot of success in the classroom and on the court. We were second in the AUS for our defense, and we had finally won our first playoff game. That was a huge moment for us. Even though we didn't come out on top, we still had a huge milestone. We had taken a different approach to how we handle playoffs, and I think that taught me a few things. If you keep failing at something over and over again, trying a new setup or trying a new approach can help you have success. I feel like those 2 years were great in a sense that I myself just felt truly happy and present. I'd waited for my time to shine on the court and worked hard to be prepared for when my chance came. I think that's the biggest takeaway I got from those 2 years. You may not get the chance or have the experience to make an impact when you first start something, but when you work hard, prepare, and persevere, you can make a huge impact and do so many great things. You just have to give yourself a chance. Fifth and final chapter. What a year. This year has been a roller coaster, that's for sure. From the summer to having the possibility to play games, first semester to having hope about second semester to play, to just having a whole season of practices. COVID, you really messed this year up. Now you're probably thinking, Chris, how did you do it? How did you go a whole season of just practicing? Does this mean you're coming back? What's the future like for you? I wish I could tell you that it was an easy decision and that I had my mind made up from the very start, but I can't. I'd be lying if I said I did. This year was a big battle of yes, I'm staying. I feel so unsatisfied to know I need to move on. I need to close this chapter. And it was back and forth like that for pretty much the whole year. And honestly, it's still like that right now. Yes, COVID has left me so unsatisfied with my basketball career that a big part of me is like, you can't leave like this. You can't end on this note. But on the other hand, COVID has shown me how much I miss my family. It's shown me that not every day, week, or month can be mapped out like I want it to. It's taught me to have patience that I most often don't have, which we all know I'm not a patient person. But this year has been one for the books, which is why it is most likely my fifth and final chapter as a Red. This year has been a huge learning curve for everyone. Every single person has had to adapt and change their life in some way or another. COVID has taken away this last year for me. It has taken away grade 12's final year of high school, first year's freshman year of making new friends and having the time of their lives, and it has also taken key learning opportunities from the athletes that are in their second, third, and fourth years. It put a lot into perspective and has changed so many things. So yes, we can look at all the negatives it has created, but we can also think about all the positives it has created as well. It forced us to appreciate the little things, like playing stew in an exhibition game, like exploring our own province, and like getting closer with our coaches and teammates because those were the people in our bubbles. COVID can be a mixture of emotions, but I'll look back on this year as the craziest, most frustrating blessing we all needed, and that I even needed. It's definitely not how I wanted to end my basketball career, but I went with the flow. Well, I tried my best and took what was given to me. You may be thinking, wow, that's a rough way to end, and you're correct, it is. But like all other years, this year has taught me lessons that I will never forget. These past 5 years have been the best and worst years of my life, but I wouldn't change it for a second. I wouldn't change being the butt of Speedy's bad jokes. I wouldn't trade Cotter getting mad at me for not sealing in the paint or being patient with the ball. I wouldn't trade Chelsea getting mad about missed box outs or always being a shoulder to cry on when I needed her. And I wouldn't trade Peter being frustrated about being beat right. The hurdles I've had to overcome have helped me so much these past couple of years, both on and off the court. Every single player and coach that has been a part of our program has taught me so many things. For that, I am forever thankful. It will always be grateful for the opportunity that this school and program has given me. You've all changed my life, and I just want to take this moment to thank the athletic department for giving us the support we always needed, and to Max Health for always dealing with my many, many injuries. Thank you to my coaches, Cotter, Peter, Chelsea, and of course, Speedy. You've all made my life so much better, even on the days I didn't want to be here. To all my fellow athletes, young and old, cherish every year you have playing the sport you love with the people you love, because one day you'll blink and it'll all flash before your eyes. I've created many memories and bonds with so many different people that I will forever remember my time here as a UNB Red. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Crystal, for those words, for being a great role model, and for an amazing career at UNB. Having the opportunity to coach a student athlete like you is one of the main reasons why I'm still coaching today. We are going to miss you more than you will ever know. I would also like to thank Andy Campbell for helping us put together this video. Without his time and expertise, there's zero chance of this video actually happening. Thank you very much, Andy. And last but definitely not least, I want to thank all of you for watching and participating in this year's breakfast. Your engagement and support of our program means the world to us. As I mentioned before, one of the goals of the Breakfast for Success is to raise money for our women's basketball program. On the screen right now is a link to donate to the Breakfast for Success Friends of Reds program. All proceeds from these donations go directly to scholarships for student athletes on our women's basketball team. Another tradition with our Breakfast for Success is our annual silent auction. The auction is very silent this year because it is all online. The link to participate in the auction is on the screen right now. The auction begins today, Thursday, April the 8th at noon, and continues until Monday evening, April the 12th. We don't have as many items as usual, but we are really excited about some great new items and the many awesome items that are there for you to place a bid on. So please check out the link, forward it to as many friends and family as you can, and help us have another very successful auction for the Breakfast for Success. Thanks again for your support of the UNB women's basketball program. It means the world to us, and we cannot wait to see you in the stands in the Curry Center in the fall of 2021 and back here at the Fredericton Inn in April 2022. All the best, stay safe.